Welcome to the channel. Today, we're exploring some unbelievable story. Stay tuned and let's dive in. Before Ella came into my life, I wasn't sure whether I'd ever discover a relationship that felt secure and reliable. I'd been through a few unsuccessful relationships, but when Ella and I met, everything simply clicked. She was ambitious and brilliant, and we had mutual respect, which laid the groundwork for what I hoped would be a long-lasting marriage. Those early days were full of promise as we started a life together, and I felt I'd finally found someone to share everything with. We settled into our positions, with me focused on my marketing profession and Ella managing a high-end beauty salon. From the outside, everything seemed to be beautiful, and even our friends complimented us on how effectively we collaborated. I felt certain that we were creating something substantial as we spoke about our future goals, which included beginning families. My life was flipped upside down when I saw a video that became an internet meme exposing Ella as a hypocrite. My name is Thomas Blackwell, and I believed my marriage was steady for 5 years. But after seeing the video, I knew that things weren't as they looked. So what happened? The COVID-19 epidemic struck. Ella's salon closed, but I continued to work remotely since my position in finance was deemed crucial. At first, everything seemed perfect. We spent a lot of time together, but as the days passed, Ella got irritable and angry, particularly when I had to leave for work. During one of such outings, I discovered something unusual after shaving the home. Even though I don't use fragrance, my doubts rose, but I dismissed them as the lockdown wore on. Things became worse. Ella felt enraged about little things. She was stringent about according to new guidelines, having me wear masks and use hand sanitizer constantly. She eventually forced me to sleep in the guest room since we couldn't keep our beds 6 feet apart, which meant no intimacy. I protested that it didn't make sense since we lived together, but she kept to the regulations. We soon stopped dining together and using the same bathroom. She segregated our dishes and we had to do our own laundry. We'd devolved into little more than roommates living together. The mayor established a hotline and website for reporting neighbors who do not follow rigorous criteria. While I understood the intention, I thought it was excessive. I expressed my worries to Ella, but she disagreed. "I think it's a great idea," she replied. "People aren't following the rules and it's dangerous." "I'm not getting involved in that," I told him. "Suit yourself," she said with a shrug. "But I will." "You're not going to report our neighbors, are you?" I inquired, concerned about generating issues with friends. "It's for their own good," she emphasized. "If they don't care about their health, someone has to." "But these are our friends and neighbors," I corrected them. "Then they'd better follow the rules," she said. "I don't want us getting sick because of them." I warned her about the state's privacy rules, saying that if neighbors found out she was reporting them, it may harm our relationships. But Ella did not seem bothered. She spent the following 3 days keeping a close eye on the neighbors, even contacting the snitch line when children were playing outdoors. Eventually, a police officer arrived and talked with the parents before the children walked inside. I prayed they never figured out it was Ella. I also saw unusual conduct from Ella. She began making regular excursions to Target, which often lasted much longer than previously. Despite being a good shopper, she'd now go for hours, frequently returning with just one thing. Even more strangely, she started dressing up for these excursions. When I inquired about it, she dismissed me, stating she only wanted to appear beautiful. To make things worse, Mom would often go directly to the main bathroom, which I was no longer permitted to use, and take a shower immediately after arriving. Why would she need to do that if she just went out to get 1 or 2 modest food items? I realize I'm not the smartest tool in the shed when it comes to ladies, but I wasn't born yesterday. Something was amiss, and I was determined to find out what. Why would she dress up and depart for Target at the same time every day, only to be gone for 3 hours? Something clearly didn't add up. I attempted to trust her. After all, I'd seen some of the shop lineups firsthand, but 45 days into the lockdown, I knew something wasn't right. I took out my phone and dialed Frank Daniels, an old college acquaintance who now runs his own private detective firm. "What's up, buddy?" he inquired. He listened patiently as I described the scenario. "Man, that doesn't sound good. Email me a recent picture of Ella and it'll get started. You might want to install some cameras in your house that stream to your server. Good idea, I replied when he received a photograph of Ella. I've got a few cameras lying around that aren't in use, he shared with me. If you want, you can borrow them and set them up. Meet me at your office this afternoon and I'll bring them over if that works. That works, my reply. He'll be there around 2:30. Ella is usually back from Target by then. Gotcha, Frank told him. Your office, 2:30, he'll be there. I just got your email, by the way. Thanks. No, thank you. I just need to get to the bottom of this, I told you. You might not like what you find, Frank said. I don't like what's happening right now, I said. See you this afternoon, buddy. We finished the conversation and I considered what he said. I may not like the reality, but it had to be better than what was happening now. It was time to confront and resolve this issue. I bathed, dressed, and left a note on the kitchen counter informing Ella that I'd be away till later that afternoon. I met Frank outside of the building where my workplace was. He gave me a package containing 3 tiny motion-activated cameras that could be fitted almost anyplace, even within smoke alarms. He also handed me an installation instructions. I hope this works out for you, Thomas, Frank said. I'll get started on my end and let you know what I find. Okay, thanks Frank, I appreciate it, I said. After he departed, I walked inside to find that FedEx had brought some batteries and DVDs. While checking my work email and our ticketing system, I saw that the updates and battery replacements were planned for later that night, after banking hours. I looked at the clock and realized I just had enough time to travel home, put up the cameras, and get a few hours of sleep before the night shift. When I came home, Ella hadn't returned, so I took my ladder and went into the master bedroom, which I hadn't been allowed to enter. Out of curiosity, I peered into her hamper and saw a pair of underwear with crusty stains. Disgusted, I returned to work. As I finished placing a camera in the smoke detector, Ella strolled in. I could instantly detect a man's fragrance mixed with something else on her. "What are you doing in my room?" she inquired. "Your room?" she asked back. "Last time I checked, my name's on the mortgage, which means I can go into any room I damn well please, including the master bedroom where we used to sleep together." She recoiled. I seldom talked to her in that way. "Just so you know, I had to change the battery in the smoke detector. He'll be doing the same in the guest room and living room." "Okay," she said. "You don't have to be so short with me." I said nothing, finished, and went to the guest room, where I had been resting. After installing the second camera, I walked to the living room to complete the work. After that, I put the ladder away and walked into my office to see that the cameras were connected to my server. It took a few minutes, but I was pleased with the outcome. The photos were sharp, and the mics captured everything. I saw Ella leave the restroom and put on pants and a light sweater. I prayed nothing damning would come out so we could move on. Following that, I went upstairs to what had become my bedroom. "I need to go to the data center tonight to install some updates on the servers," I informed Ella as I climbed the stairs. She appeared almost relieved that I would be gone. "He'll probably be out most of the night, so I'm going to get a couple of hours of sleep before I have to leave." "Okay," she responded, walking away without caring that I wouldn't be present. I observed she didn't even bother to say goodnight. Previously, she would have been disturbed by such news. I shook my head and walked into my room, hoping to sleep for a few hours. When my alarm went off, I dragged myself to the bathroom to clean my teeth and take a shower. I got dressed, went downstairs, prepared a sandwich, and grabbed a cup of coffee for the road. Ella was seated on the sofa and did not say anything to me. I felt the desire to reach out and say something. "Ella," I yelled from the dining table. She turned to face me and said, "What? Do you still love me?" "Of course," she said. "Why do you ask?" "I was just wondering. You're never kind to me anymore. You don't even say you love me, and we haven't had intimacy in a long time." She responded with a heavy sigh, "Is that what's bothering you?" "No intimacy, it's been a while. We used to make love regularly," I said. "Now we're just like roommates. Is something going on?" "Look, maybe I'm just tired of being stuck in the house all the time," she told me. "Okay," I said, but I didn't believe it. "It's not easy for me either. I'm just worried that we're drifting apart." She nodded. Maybe you're right. I'm sorry if it feels like I've been off lately. Maybe when all this is over, we can go on a nice vacation. Yeah, that'd be nice, I responded, but I didn't believe it. I'll be out most of the night doing the updates. I'll call you when I'm heading home. Okay, she said. Thanks. Then she returned to viewing her program. After completing my dinner, I walked into the office to check on the server, picked up my briefcase, and shut the door. As I approached the front door, I cast a peek at Ella. I'm leaving now. I love you, I said. Without looking up, she said, yeah, me too. I remained there for a time, thinking that was all I was going to receive from her. She used to kiss me goodbye, but I assumed that was no longer the case. Ella, I murmured, closing the door behind me. I got in my pickup, heavy-hearted. It took little over an hour to get to the data center. I went in, changed the UPS batteries, and began the update process, knowing it would take many hours. I got some coffee and sat at a desk. I took out my own laptop, connected to the network, and signed on to my home server. I watched a few vids from earlier. Nothing appeared unusual, just footage of me sleeping and Ella in the front room, as usual. I saw her take out her phone many times to text someone. I hadn't had a chance to examine her phone since she usually carried it, so I had no clue who she was messaging. One tape showed Ella in the master bedroom, carrying a wedding picture that typically resided on the dresser. Based on the timing, that occurred when I was sleeping. She glanced at the photo regretfully before putting it face down on the dresser and exiting the room. A couple additional recordings showed me preparing for work, and one captured our talk before I left. I couldn't help but observe that, apart from her stature, Ella had shown very little emotion throughout the chat and much less when I said goodbye. However, things became more fascinating once I closed the door. She glanced at it for a bit before getting up to see whether I had gone. She took out her phone and called me when she was certain I had left. Unfortunately, I only got to hear one side of it. Hey, lover, she replied with a smile. Yeah, idiot's gone, probably all night. You ready to come over and play in my bed? Of course, and anywhere else you want, he said. You want me to do what? Really? Okay, just for you. Hurry up, I'm excited thinking about you. Yeah, okay. Love you, stud muffin. See you soon. What the hell? I murmured to myself. It became evident that Ella no longer loved me and was in love with someone else. I watched as she walked upstairs to the master bedroom. She took up our wedding picture and laughed. Don't you wish you were here to watch me? She said, laying the photo back down. The next video showed her standing unclothed in the front room, gazing outside the window. A few minutes later, a vehicle entered the driveway. She opened the door and stood unclothed as a guy entered the porch. He grinned and gave her a passionate kiss. She answered enthusiastically. It had been a long time since she had touched or kissed me like way. My heart felt like it was being ripped apart. They entered the room and I got a good look at the man's face. He seemed familiar, but I couldn't identify him at first. His well-groomed brown hair made him like a model from a salon advertisement. Then it struck me. He was a hairdresser who worked at the salon that Ella ran. I faintly recall meeting him once when I visited her. So, the idiot's gone all night? He inquired. Yep, all night, she said with a big smile. Come on, let's go upstairs. I'm so excited for you. Then they dashed up the stairs to what used to be our master bedroom. The video had finished, but I saw another had just been saved to the server, so I opened it. This video continues where the prior one left off. Ella and her partner were in the bedroom and she had climbed into bed. It's not our marital bed anymore, she remarked. I kicked him out of the bedroom like you suggested. This is my bed now, or better yet, our bed, yours and mine. That clarified a lot, I thought. They definitely planned this. Too bad the coward isn't here to watch a real man with you, he remarked with a wicked smile. She laughed. Maybe later. Forget about him for now. I need you to screw me. I can't begin to express how I felt as I saw and listened to them humiliate me in my own home, on what I thought was my marriage bed. Part of me was devastated over the end of what I had thought was a wonderful relationship. Another part of me was filled with wrath. This was my reward for all the years of supporting and caring for her. It was probably better that I wasn't present when this occurred. I probably would have taken my firearm and killed both of them right there, but it would have landed me in prison, and I was not going down that route. It's incredible how quickly someone's emotions may shift. Right now, I did not regard Ella as my soulmate. She wasn't my wife any longer. In fact, I struggled to think of her as a lady. She was just a greedy, deceptive person. I needed to get away from all of this before losing my head. I terminated the video and exited the data center. I drove to the convenience shop and purchased a few packs of smokes and a 6-pack of Pepsi. I would have gotten a drink, but I still had work to do and needed to get home. I hadn't smoked in years, but I wanted one before I fully lost it. Sitting in my pickup, I lit a cigarette and considered what to do next. Divorce was apparent, but it would not be sufficient. I wanted to exact some kind of retribution on Ella and her dirtbag boyfriend for what they were doing to me, but I had to be cautious not to wind up in prison. I walked back inside to check for developments before sitting down to continue watching the video. I've heard tales of men getting thrilled when they watch their spouses interact with other men. That did not happen to me, thank God. Sure, Ella remained appealing, but what I felt was sheer loathing. What made it worse was not only seeing them enjoy intimacy in what used to be our common bedroom, but also hearing what they were saying. "You want me to get you pregnant?" he inquired. "Yes, baby, get me pregnant," she said. "What about your pathetic husband?" he inquired. "Who cares about him?" she said dismissively. "You'll make him think it's his and let him raise it." "I like that idea," the guy said. "Here it comes," she said. She took off her wedding rings and put them in her hand. "God, you're wicked," he informed her. "That's why you love me, right?" she inquired. I yelled. I cried. I was outraged. I wanted to slam my laptop against a wall. I couldn't believe the lady I promised to love forever was doing this to me, to us. I promised that no matter what, I would get retribution on them both. In the video, the two of them were cuddling in what used to be my bed. "So Ella, why don't you just divorce the idiot and come live with me?" suggested the guy. "Oh, please," she said. "You think I'd give up all this to live in that little trailer of yours? Look, I love you and the intimacy, but I can't afford to divorce him yet. I need his money." That was all I was to her now, a meal ticket. To heck with it. I paused the movie and logged into our bank account. I followed the standard procedure. I created a new account in my name exclusively, moved half of our money to it, and then paid off and cancelled our shared credit cards. I then went into our company's human resources system and deleted her name from my retirement account. I would have pulled her off my insurance as well, but I couldn't since it was open enrollment and I hadn't finished my divorce yet. Aside from that, I did all I could to segregate our funds. Working for the same bank that handled our accounts was really beneficial. I began the video again. "So once this pandemic is over and we're back to work, you'll divorce him?" questioned the man. "Yes, yeah. By then he'll have enough saved up and I can file for something like mental cruelty. I'm sure I can find a lawyer who will ruin him." "Not if I get to one first," he said. "You're a real piece of work," I thought to myself. "Looks like this marriage is coming back to life, huh?" replied the man. I couldn't take much more and skipped through the remainder of the film. After intimacy, they returned to bed and hugged some more. So much for social distancing, I mused. They fell asleep after a time and it seemed that the enjoyment of the night had come to an end. I examined the status of the updates. It seemed like they'd be finished in about an hour, so I sat back and considered my next move. After what I heard tonight, there was no way I could continue living with Ella. I'd seen and heard enough, and I didn't believe Frank needed to follow her longer, so I devised a plan. I edited together numerous pieces from the tapes I possessed and emailed the compilation to all of her family members, informing them that I would be filing for divorce due to adultery. By then, the upgrades had been completed, so I performed some tests to check everything was running correctly. Once I verified it, I grabbed my belongings and walked to the truck, intending to crash Ella's little party. It was just 1:30 a.m., so I'd be home by 2:30. Ella didn't expect me back until much later. Perfect, I thought with a devilish smile. I hopped in the vehicle, smoked a cigarette, and started the road. By the time I got home, it was 2:25, so I switched off the headlights to prevent disturbing Ella or her partner. I parked in the driveway next to the sports car without bothering with the garage doors. I stepped inside, switched off the security system, and placed my laptop bag in the office. Then I slipped softly up the stairs and went through the master bedroom's open door. They were both fast sleeping, arms wrapped around one another. How sweet, I said sarcastically. I entered inside the room and turned on the overhead light. Get up! Get up! Get up! I yelled, much as my drill instructors had in boot camp. They sprang out of bed, startled and perplexed by what was going on. What the hell is going on here? I shouted from the top of my lungs. Oh my God, Ella said as she realized it was me. Thomas, what are you doing at home? You were supposed to be working all night. I finished early and wanted to surprise my loving wife, I said. But what do I find instead? You and your lover in my bed. The man ID had seemed afraid. Look, man, I'm sorry, he said. I scowled at him. Just get your clothes on and get the hell out of my house. I was screaming. You've got 30 seconds and 25 of them are already gone, move. He scurried like a headless chicken, attempting to retrieve his clothing. I turned to Ella. Maybe I should call the mayor's snitch line and report you for breaking social distancing rules, I told you. Pack your crap and get out. Thomas, please. She implored. It's not what it looks like. I laughed directly into her face. Spare me your nonsense, Ella. You love this a-hole. Go live with him. But she stuttered. No buts, Ella, I said. Get out now. I'm not your meal ticket anymore. You want his kids? Fine. Go live with him in his trailer. I'm getting a divorce as soon as possible. Now pack up, don't make me repeat myself. Wait, you know about. She began. I saw and heard everything, Ella, I said coldly. Her eyes became wide as she comprehended what I was talking about. You saw? She whispered. Right now, you make me sick, I added. She began weeping as it all struck her. Stop crying. I demanded. Pack your crap and get out. Whatever you leave behind gets tossed or burned. You can't mean that, she wailed. Oh, I absolutely do, I said. I loved you and this is how you repay me. With lies and cheating on me with that piece of trash. I hate you right now. I never want to see your face again. Is that clear? Sobbing, she got out of bed and started packing. He was still fumbling with his clothing, so I decided to hurry things up. Help her pack, a-hole, I instructed. What? He said, puzzled. Are you deaf? Help her pack. We'll bring some trash bags up and you can start throwing her stuff in them. You're part of this mess, so do your part. I walked downstairs, got several huge plastic rubbish bags, and put them on the bed. Get to it. You've got 5 minutes. After that, everything else is getting thrown out or burned. A few minutes later, Ella and her partner took numerous bags containing her possessions to their automobiles. I discovered her handbag, took out the home key, and removed the garage door opener from her vehicle. Then I took off my wedding band and put it in her hand. She glanced at me with teary eyes. Don't you want this? She said quietly. I shake my head. No, not anymore. Now get out. I assume you'll be living at Ronnie's trailer, I informed you. So, he'll have the divorce papers sent there. She scrawled an address on a piece of paper and gave it to me. I'm sorry, she said. Yeah, you are, I said. And I'm sorry I ever met you. She cried and left. I watched them drive away, then shut the door behind them. Exhausted, I dropped into the sofa and fell asleep. It was around 8 a.m. When I awoke, I knew I had a lot to deal with. I phoned my manager and requested the week off, describing what had transpired. "No problem, Thomas," he said. "You've got plenty of comp time. Take what you need, and thanks for finishing those updates last night." "Thanks," I said, hanging up the phone. I immediately phoned Frank to inform him that there was no longer a need to follow Ella and to explain what had transpired earlier. "Damn, I'm really sorry to hear that, Thomas, but I'm glad you found out when you did. Let me know if I can help." "Thanks," I said. "I'll return your equipment soon and we'll settle up." We hung up the phone and I refilled my coffee. I began looking for a family law attorney and discovered one who worked from home. I contacted and he agreed to meet with me via a teleconferencing method that his company employed. After receiving the email with the information, I joined up and we were soon conversing face to face from our living rooms. I told him what had occurred and what I wanted, and he described our state's divorce rules. It turned out that we resided in a no-fault state, so I couldn't sue for infidelity. However, her affair may be used to prevent her from receiving alimony or maintenance. The disadvantage was that I'd probably have to sell the home and give her half of the money, which was great with me since I didn't want to live there any longer. "I'll get started on the paperwork and have her served in a couple of days," he promised. "Someone from our office will contact you for the retainer." "I'll be in touch," he said. I thanked him and the call ended. I pulled down the cameras and started picking through what Ella had left behind, putting stuff into 3 piles, one for burning, one for throwing away, and one for goodwill. It was almost midday when my phone rang. I saw it was Ella's sister, Tracy. "Thomas, what's this about you throwing Ella out in the middle of the night?" She was furious. "Did she tell you why I threw her out?" I inquired. She said it was only a little misunderstanding. "Check your email," I instructed her. "Once you see what I sent, you'll understand." "Goodbye, Tracy." I hung up before she could react. A few minutes later, I received another call, this one from Ella's parents. I had always loved them and we got along great. "Thomas, I got a strange call from Ella," her father Arthur stated. "She told us you threw her out at 2:30 in the morning. Is that true?" "Yes, Arthur, it is." "Why on earth would you do that?" he inquired. "Have you checked your email?" I questioned him. "No, I haven't." "Check your email and you'll know why." "Talk to you later, Arthur." "Send my best to Linda." Linda was Ella's mother and I looked after her like she was my own. I continued sifting through Ella's belongings and the stacks grew. Approximately an hour later, Tracy phoned again. "I saw the video and am very sorry," she added. "She made it seem like you were being unreasonable and threw her out for no reason." "Do you know who that guy is?" I inquired. "Yes, that's Ronnie," she said. "He worked at Ella's salon before it closed." She admitted to me they'd been seeing each other for a while, even before the pandemic. "Lovely," I replied. "Look, if I pick up some of her things, can I swing by and get them?" "If you're quick," she said. "I'm sorting through her stuff now. Most of it's going to Goodwill, the rest is getting trashed or burned." "Burned?" she inquired, startled. "Yeah, like her wedding dress, our photos, that kind of stuff." "You're going to burn her wedding dress?" she inquired, stunned. "Absolutely." "Please don't burn or throw anything away until I get there," she had urged. "I might want to keep some of it." "Like I said, you'd better hurry," I remarked. "I'll be right over," she said. I interrupted my work and walked out back for a smoke and coffee. My phone rang again just as I sat down and turned on the lights. "Can't these people just leave me alone?" I grumbled. I recognized it was Arthur and responded. "Hey, Arthur," I said. "Thomas, I owe you an apology," Arthur said. "I saw the video and I've never been more disgusted in my life." "That was just a highlight reel, if you know what I mean," I said. "There's plenty more." "We've seen everything we need to," Arthur said. "Linda's heartbroken. We've told Ella she's not welcome here anymore. Thomas, we think the world of you. If you need anything, just let us know." "Thanks, Arthur," I said. "I appreciate that." We concluded the conversation and I returned inside. Tracy was already banging at the door. I opened it to see her standing there in short shorts and a crop t-shirt. "Hey Tracy, come on in," I said. As she stepped inside, she flipped back her beautiful blonde hair. "I'm sorting her stuff upstairs if you want to go through it," I informed you. "Sounds good," she said. I offered her a garbage bag and she grinned as she accepted it. "What is this? Luggage around here now?" she quipped. I laughed. "Yeah, and she's lucky it's a clean bag." She chuckled in answer and we headed upstairs where she sorted through the mounds of material, nonchalantly dropping items into the bag. She wasn't very cautious with any of it. She observed Ella's rings on the nightstand. "She left her rings here," Tracy said. I nodded as she grabbed for them. "You might want to disinfect those first," I told you. "Oh, that's gross," she said. "No way am I touching those." "What are you going to do with them?" she inquired. I shrugged. "I'm thinking of cleaning them and selling them at a pawn shop or something. They are worthless to me and clearly they don't mean anything to Ella anymore." "Clearly," she agreed. "Go ahead and grab whatever you want. I'm heading out back for a bit. Feel free to join me if you want to talk." "Okay," I responded. I got a new cup of coffee and went out back for another smoke. A few minutes later, Tracy popped her head out. "Mind if I join you?" "Not at all," I said. She sat across from me on the chair. "I didn't know you smoked." "I quit a while ago but started up again last night after I saw that video." "Bad habit." "Mind if I join you?" she inquired. "It's a free country," I said, shocked. She took a pack out of her handbag and I handed her a light. She leaned back and gave me a serious expression before saying, "My sister is such an idiot. I can't believe she treated you the way she did." "You don't even know the half of it," I continued, describing how Ella kept us away under the guise of the virus when, in reality, it was to prevent me from seeing her. "She's not just an idiot. She's a stupid idiot," Tracy replied after a few seconds. I saw she was behaving strangely. The way she sat and the little grin on her face revealed her intentions. "You know, I've had a crush on you since the first time I met you," Tracy said. "Really?" I said in amazement. "Of course," she said. I had observed how flirtatious she was around me while we were together, but I never encouraged it. Still, I could see it worried Ella, and to be honest, I didn't do anything to change it. "I've always thought highly of you too," I corrected myself. She grinned. "I'm not my sister, though." "I know," I said. "No, you don't," she said. "Sure, we grew up together, but we couldn't be more different. Ella's always been selfish and a little narcissistic. I can't tell you how many times she got me in trouble with our parents, only to do the same things herself later. Honestly, I'm shocked you two lasted as long as you did." "Really? Why?" I inquired. "She was always switching boyfriends when we were younger," Tracy revealed. "She'd date someone for a few months, then move on. Most guys dumped her as soon as they saw who she really was. I wish I had known that before I married her," I told her. "I almost warned you when we first met," Tracy admitted. "Why didn't you?" I inquired. "I thought about it several times, but I could tell you were completely in love with her," Tracy assured him. "I didn't think you'd believe me." I nodded. "You're probably right. I was head over heels for her and would have thought you were trying to split us up." "I did warn her, though," Tracy said. "I told her if she ever hurt you, she'd regret it. She swore she'd never treat you like her other boyfriends did." "Have you ever thought about vengeance?" she inquired. "It crossed my mind," I said. "I spoke to a divorce attorney this morning and he's starting the paperwork." "Is that all?" she questioned, her tone becoming increasingly provocative. I understood what she was hinting at, but I wasn't ready to bite, at least not yet. "Yeah, but I'd probably end up in jail," I said. She laughed. "That's not what I meant." She placed her hand on my leg and I felt heat from her touch. I knew I could have her right now, but it was too early. "I'm still legally married," I said. "The papers haven't even been served yet." She grinned. "Good answer." "That's fine. I've waited 5 years, so I guess I can wait a bit longer. Are you staking a claim? I inquired with a smile. Damn right I am, she said. Ella messed up big time, but I'm not like her. I'm a one-man woman. Always have been. I grinned back. That's good to hear. I figured you out of guys lining up, I said. Nah, most of the guys I know are idiots or mama's boys. That's a shame. Not really, she said. None of them can compare to you. But I have to know one thing, she added. What's that? I inquired. Is there any chance you'll take Ella back? She was wondering. I shake my head. None whatsoever. She burned that bridge last night. Too bad for her, I guess, Tracy said. She looked at her watch. I should get going. I promised Ella I'd bring her stuff this afternoon. Is there anything you want me to tell her? Inquired the woman. Just let her know I spoke to a lawyer and shall be served in a couple of days, I told her. You'll tell her I'm really sorry about what she did to you. Thanks, I said. You'll be fine. I know you will, she murmured, gently kissing me. She came up and embraced me. Let me give you something to take your mind off things, she said quietly. I was going to say something when she caught me off guard with the most intense kiss I'd ever felt. Are you on Skype? She said after drawing back. Yeah, I am, I said. I scribbled down my Skype handle and gave it to her. Great, she replied. I'll meet you on Skype tonight and let you know how it goes. Sound good? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, I said. I helped her take the remainder of Ella's belongings to her vehicle and we kissed before she got inside. I watched her drive away and then groaned as I returned inside. I hoped I wasn't going from one poor circumstance to another, but I didn't detect any dishonesty from Tracy. She'd always been more forthright than Ella, and the prospect of being with her seemed like a new beginning. I had just gotten a Coke and was walking to the back door when my phone called. This time, it was Ella. What does she want now? I inquired. What do you want? I inquired as I picked up. You prick. She said. How could you do this to me? Do what exactly? I said, attempting to maintain my calm. You know what? She said. You sent that video to my parents and my sister. Now they all hate me. Why would you do that? She said. Why do you think? I inquired. 304, remember? You're the one who cheated, lied, and stabbed me in the back. I loved you completely, and this is what I get. You really thought I'd raise Ronnie's child? I said, the words stinging like poison in my lips. Screw you, Ella, and him. Stop calling me that. She said. I knew she despised that term, which was why I said it, but I didn't care anymore. Why not? It's what you are, a lying, cheating, worthless witch. That's all you've ever been and it's all you'll ever be. We're done. I stopped to take a breath. I spoke to a lawyer today and you'll be served with divorce papers in a few days. Jim, please, she pleaded. I'm begging you. I'm so sorry. We can fix this. No, we can't, I said firmly. You destroyed everything with your cheating. I'm done with your nonsense. You made your choice. Now live with it. Goodbye, Ella, I said before closing the conversation. I really thought I would never see her alive again. I thought I heard her weeping, but I wasn't bothered. I disabled her phone number, knowing there was nothing left to salvage. Later that evening, Tracy contacted me over Skype. She informed me that Ella wasn't pleased with the state of her possessions. Too bad, I mused. She brought this on herself. I informed Tracy about Ella's call and she laughed. Serves her right, she replied. We spoke for a bit before finishing the conversation. I thanked Tracy for all she had done, telling her how much it meant to me. It's my pleasure, she said softly. We'll be in touch. We said our goodbyes and I started thinking about being with Tracy. The notion of her was a nice break from all that had occurred. The following day, I completed organizing the remainder of Ella's belongings. I cleaned her jewelry and gathered the items I was giving to Goodwill, placing them into garbage bags and loaded them into the vehicle. After dropping off the luggage, I went to a pawn shop and sold her jewelry for a fraction of what I spent 5 years before. Oh well, I mused. If Ella wants them, she can go buy them back. I even sent the pawn ticket to her at Ronnie's trailer in case she needed it. I assumed she'd receive the ticket in a day or two, allowing her the opportunity to retrieve them if she wished. I am not completely heartless, after all. I contacted Frank to arrange for the return of the surveillance equipment he had let me borrow. When I returned home, I disassembled the bed and placed it in the front yard, along with the dresser and nightstands. I put up a free sign, and within a few hours, everything was gone. I grabbed the remainder of Ella's belongings, including her wedding dress and all of the images of her in them, and brought them out back. I took a 50-gallon drum from the garage, packed everything inside, drenched it with lighter fluid, and set it on fire. I waited with the drum until it had all burnt to ash, then made sure the fire was totally out before closing the lid. I let it cool down before transferring it. I walked back inside and checked to make sure I had removed everything that reminded me of Ella. The apartment seemed a little lonely, but it was worthwhile to remove any signs of her. By then, it was late, and I was fatigued. I cooked some hot dogs and watched some TV before going to bed. I slept late the following day but still got a lot accomplished. I opened the windows in the now empty master bedroom to let the air out, then got some spackle to fix the nail holes. After that, I washed the carpet using the shampoo machine. It was late afternoon when I finished. I was in the garage cleaning the machine when I spotted Ronnie's vehicle come up in front. I opened the garage door and got a baseball bat that I kept near the rear entrance. Standing at the open door, I observed them exit and proceed toward the front entrance. I went out and intercepted them. "What do you want?" I inquired. Ella held up 2 envelopes. "What is this nonsense?" she demanded. "If I'm not mistaken, those are divorce papers," I remarked. "Sign and return them." "I have been more than fair. The sooner you accomplish that, the sooner this false marriage will be ended. Do not argue with me on this, or I will use the whole film I have of you two in our bed." "What about this?" she inquired, holding out a smaller envelope, which I recognized as the pawn ticket I had sent her. "That's the pawn ticket for your rings," I said. "I sold them. We didn't receive much, but that's life. I provided you the ticket in case you wanted to purchase them back." "I didn't want them," she replied, her eyes welling with tears. "And clearly, they didn't mean much to you either." "I'm sure the judge will understand why I did it," I said bluntly. "You prick," she wept. "Do you truly detest me that much?" she asked. "Yes, I do," I said. "What else have you done?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I got rid of the rest of your stuff, just like I said I would, I told you. Gave away the bedroom set, took stuff to Goodwill, and burned the rest." "Burned?" she inquired, shocked. "What did you burn?" "Your wedding gown and any photographs featuring you. Basically, junk." "You really destroyed my wedding dress?" she inquired, her eyes welling with tears. "Yep," I said. "Do you want the ashes?" She burst into tears as Ronnie hugged her. He glared at me. "You really are a heartless prick." "Yeah, I am," I responded with a chilly tone. "Especially when someone I loved with all my heart stabs me in the back with someone like you." "Just a caution," I said, glancing at him. "She'll probably cheat on you too. Don't become too comfortable." Ronnie turned her around and escorted her back to his vehicle. She looked back at me before entering, but I cut her off. "By the way," I continued, "you two appear awfully close for social distancing. And none of you is wearing a mask. Perhaps I should contact the mayor's hotline and report you," she cried as she got into the vehicle. Ronnie screeched his tires as he sped away. I smiled and put my phone aside. I anticipated her to fight the divorce, so I was startled when my lawyer phoned the following morning to inform me that she had signed the papers and dropped them off at his firm. "I got them submitted, and we've got a preliminary court date 2 weeks from today," he added. "Fortunately, the court here is more technologically sophisticated, so the hearing will be online. Because she is not contesting, I have also forwarded a copy of your film to the court. I believe things will go nicely for you." "Thanks," I said, hanging up the phone. Around 2:30, Tracy phoned. "How are things going?" "I heard Ella got served," she said. "Yes, my lawyer phoned to say she had signed and returned the documents. We have an online hearing scheduled for 2 weeks. Ella also told me what you did with her rings and wedding dress," Tracy informed me. "Yeah, probably not my finest moment, but it felt necessary." "I don't blame you," she said. "I might have done the same." "So, are you looking for some company tonight?" Tracy inquired. "Actually, I am," I said. "What did you have in mind?" "What about my world-famous lasagna and garlic bread?" "Think you can locate some wine?" she teased. "Lasagna, I said. "My favorite." "I suppose I can locate some wine," she said. "Great. It'll arrive about 6:30. Does this work for you?" "Looking forward to it," I replied. We talked a little more before hanging up, and then I went out to get a bottle of wine and some flowers. When I got back, I jumped in the shower, shaved, and dressed in clean jeans and a polo shirt. I still had some time before Tracy arrived, so I set the table with nice dinnerware and candles in the center. I had just lit the candles when the doorbell rang. I opened the door and welcomed Tracy inside. She handed me the hot lasagna, which I placed on a heat rack I'd set out. She arranged the garlic bread on a plate, and I admired her short black dress as she served the lasagna. I poured us each a glass of wine and drew out her chair. She smiled pleasantly and sat down. "You look just as delicious as this lasagna," I informed her. She replied with a wink. "Thank you, and you're looking pretty good yourself in that polo. I admire what you've done with this home. I find no indications that Ella ever lived here." "That's the idea," I remarked, taking a slice. "This is the best lasagna I've ever had." "I'm glad you like it," she told me. "Wait till you see what I brought for dessert." Dessert? I hadn't seen her bringing anything else, but when I understood what she meant, I grinned knowingly. After dinner, Tracy assisted me in clearing the table, and when we were done, she turned to me and untied her dress. It took me a while to realize I'd stopped breathing, and there in front of me was the most beautiful lady I'd ever seen. "What's the matter?" she teased. "Have you ever seen an unclothed woman?" "Not anyone as beautiful and sexy as you," I stuttered. She gave me a long kiss. "Are you ready for dessert?" I couldn't remember feeling this amazing before, not even with Ella. Tracy threw her arms around my neck and kissed me again. "I adore you, Thomas," she murmured quietly. "I have always loved you and will continue to do so. Please let me remain your wife as long as you want me." I kissed her gently and grinned. "I love you too, Tracy." "I wish I'd met you before Ella," I told her. "Me too," she grinned, "but now, let's go upstairs." "I thought you'd never ask," I said. We walked upstairs, arm in arm, to the guest bedroom. The bed was smaller than the one in the master bedroom, but it was wonderful for us. We made love for hours before falling asleep in each other's arms. The following morning, Tracy woke me up. I felt like a totally different person, and I owed it all to this amazing lady. We crept downstairs, and as I made coffee, she prepared breakfast. I sat at the kitchen counter, watching Tracy make bacon and eggs while wearing nothing. "I could get used to this," I said, appreciating her body. She chuckled. "I hope so, cowboy," she said. "Because I plan on doing this every chance I get." "Seriously?" I asked. "Yep," she was saying. "You have no idea how long I've dreamed of being with you." She plated our meal, and we sat down at the counter. "So, what is on your schedule today?" she inquired as she completed her dinner. "I have a few things to finish off around here. I need to start getting the home ready for sale. The court will probably order it sold, so I may as well make a jump start." I realized how weird the main bedroom looked when it is empty. "Are you planning to change the furniture?" she asked. "Eventually, but not until I know what's happening with the house." "That makes sense," she said. "What is on your plate?" "Actually, I had an idea I wanted to run by you," Tracy said. "Oh, what is that?" I asked. "How about I bring some belongings from my apartment and stay here more frequently? That way, I can assist you get the house ready to sale and we can spend more time together." I paused for a bit before saying, "That is a good idea. We simply need to be careful. I don't want Ella to file anything against me." You're right, she admitted, but I don't think that will be an issue. I know my sister, and I believe she accepts that you two are done. I will be discreet. If someone asks, I'll just claim him assisting you through a tough time. He'll spend a few nights a week at my studio apartment, but the most of the time he'll be here with you. I thought about it for a second. Deal. Good, she said, kissing me. I meant what I said last night, you know, she told me. What is that? I asked. That I love you, she said. I've always loved you, and I'll never treat you the way Ella did. I love you, too, Tracy, I said, kissing her back. I actually loved her, and I hope this wasn't simply a rebound. I'm already feeling better, and it's all thanks to you, I said. She kissed me again before rising up. I'd best get ready and go. He'll be back this afternoon. Okay, that sounds good, I said. Oh, wait a second, I replied, picking up my jeans off the floor. I took out my key ring and gave her Ella's old home key. Just in case I'm not here when you get back. He'll also give you the garage opener and the security code, I replied when everything was sorted up. Tracy walked upstairs, dressed, and then departed. Tracy and I had a great time together for the next 2 weeks, and she was a huge help, especially after I returned to work. We got a lot done, including painting the majority of the interior, and she was okay with my job's demands, which sometimes required late nights or travel. On those nights, she stayed at her apartment, and we stayed in touch via Skype until she went to bed. Trust was important to me, and Tracy seemed to sense that without me needing. By the end of the 2 weeks, we had gotten into a comfortable pattern, and it was evident that she had gone a long way toward mending my heart. It felt like a pre-honeymoon, and we learned a lot about one another, including our shared musical tastes. When the day of the online court hearing arrived, I was surprised that Ella hadn't attempted to contact me over those 2 weeks, but I didn't mind. Tracy came by to sit off to the side and listen, and I dressed for the hearing and listened to my lawyer describe the procedure. Because Ella was not challenging the divorce, he estimated that it would only take around 15 minutes, but the court had set aside an hour in case. Between you and me, I think he likes to take his time, my attorney laughed. Soon, the judge, the court reporter, my lawyer, and I were all online, but Ella was not. Mr. Blackwell, do you know why Mrs. Blackwell is not present? The judge inquired. No, Your Honor, said my lawyer. I sent her the instructions a couple of days ago, but I haven't heard from her. Mr. Blackwell, have you heard from your wife? I was questioned by the judge. No, sir, I haven't, I said. Okay, BFF, phone the sheriff's office and direct them to Mrs. Blackwell's residence. If there is no valid reason for her absence, have her taken into custody, the court ordered. Yes, sir, the BFF said. We waited about 45 minutes until the BFF returned. Your Honor, deputies have reported from Mrs. Blackwell's home. Both Mrs. Blackwell and her friend were discovered dead. The medical examiner has been called. I see, the judge said. Thank you, BFF. The judge turned to me and said, Mr. Blackwell, it seems that your divorce petition has been rendered irrelevant by your wife's death. I shall wait for the medical examiner's formal findings before concluding the matter. In the meanwhile, please accept my sympathy. Thank you, Your Honor, I said. The judge, my best friend, and the court reporter all exited the call, leaving just my lawyer and myself. I'm very sorry, Mr. Blackwell, my solicitor said. If you'd like, I can handle your wife's probate, assuming she didn't have a will. No, she didn't, I said gently. Thanks. He'll be in touch about the next steps, my lawyer added before hanging up the phone. I sat there, feeling numb. Tracy came over and soothed me as the weight of everything sunk in. She hugged me tight, and for the first time in weeks, I allowed myself to feel some calm. We didn't say much, but she understood what I needed, and I appreciated her presence. The autopsy revealed that Ella and Ronnie had both died from the COVID-19 virus, that they had taken large amounts of illegal pills, and that Ella was pregnant, probably with Ronnie's child. The state reopened a few weeks later, and life began to return to normal. Interestingly, neither of them sought medical help. Arthur and Linda were delighted to learn that Tracy and I were together, and I went to the funeral to show my support for Tracy and her parents. Fortunately, I had a term life insurance policy on Ella via the bank, which paid her last expenditures. I'm not sure where our relationship is going, but I believe I'll be proposing before too long. Right now, I'm focused on this incredible lady who is demonstrating how much she loves me, and I'm definitely enjoying it. So, if you can excuse me, I'm going to concentrate on her for a bit. Thank you for watching. What do you think of Thomas' actions? Comment below and remember to like and subscribe.